Exactly. Looking back on certain things, I cannot believe how much I've changed, how much I've been through, how much I've persevered. And I feel like most of the time people these days, they look at the bad stuff, they look at, oh, I went through this, and this, and they stay in victim mentality. There is so much more to life than looking at the past. There's so much more to life than staying in the past. You can't build a better future if you're stuck looking at what could have been. You can't build a better future if you're stuck looking at, why did I do this, or why did I have to go through this? Sometimes when things happen in your life, you shouldn't look at it as, why did I have to go through this horrible thing? You should look at it as, well, I made it to the other side. This bad thing happened to me, or this bad thing I had to endure. I still made it. I'm still here. I'm still alive, living, breathing, oxygen. Yeah, looking back on certain stuff, I'm like, wow, I was really at a low point in my life. There was a point in time where I would smoke all the time. There was a point in time where I didn't know who I was. And I feel like a very important thing is people need to spend time by themselves. A lot of the times people are so caught up in relationships, friendships, work, and they don't take the time to sit by themselves and think, who am I? Who is this person I am? And they don't realize what they've become. So the word for today is solstice. That's basically it's almost like persevering. It's realizing that you've become more than what you had to grow through. You've become more than what you have to endure in the past. You've become more than your trauma. Some people say trauma is what makes you. Well, trauma isn't what makes you. It's how you grow and learn from that trauma. That is what makes you. I feel like people should be a better person than they were yesterday, a better person than they were last week, a better person than they were a year ago. But being caught up in the past, it's like you can't look at the future. I want this message to be inspirational for those who feel like they are stuck. You have so much life to live, so live it. Don't overthink and keep thinking about things that you could have changed in the past, or replaying moments, because you can't change the past. It's already happened. What you can change is what you're doing right now in the present, and that will cultivate your future. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do. People usually, their identity is created from who's around them. And a lot of times you say, we don't really copy the people around us, but the people around you are who you are. So it's important to take time to yourself to figure out your identity, your morals, your principles. It's also the decisions that you make with yourself. Creative expression has become something that I love to do. I love expressing my creativity because it's a form of freedom. Some people are into different forms of art, painting, photography, filmmaking. Me personally, I am into fashion, and coming from someone who, didn't know themselves a couple years ago, it's like, wow, look how far I've came. I'm not gonna lie, people who, do fashion, those first couple years that, you are getting into it, those outfits are, pretty horrible. But people would say, oh, your outfits are so good, and I'm like, looking back on it, they were not the best outfits. It's about trying. It's about getting up every day and being like, well, I want to try on this, or maybe I should do this. It's about individuality. I feel like in today's society we have lost that. We try to be like everyone around us, and you shouldn't. You should just be yourself. But I've come to a solstice, look how far I've came with not myself, but my identity, and how me expressing myself through fashion, the evolution of, how that's changed over the years. Growing up, going to college, and, seeing and finally being around different types of people that are not just white people or Caucasian people. You really get to grow. I feel like now that I know myself more and like who I am as a person, now that shows outwardly through my creative expression, my fashion. But what I want you guys to take away from this is growing is a learning process. It's a slow process. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but as long as you're actively trying to get up and do it, get up and try to be yourself, to be an individual, then you're growing. You've come to a solstice. So yeah, that's the end of the video. I just want to give you that message. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. I'm going to do more of these, and I will see you in the next one.